There's a quiet ache that visits many of us, often when the world begins to dim and silence settles in. It's not the kind of ache that demands to be fixed or fought. It's more subtle, like a gentle tug beneath the surface, a feeling that something isn't quite at ease, even when everything on the outside looks fine. Have you ever felt that the harder you try to hold things together, your schedule, your relationships, your sense of purpose, the more peace seems to slip through your fingers like water? Almost as if, in all our striving, we've unknowingly turned away from the very calm we seek. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? We were taught that effort brings reward, that pushing through guarantees progress, that if something hasn't arrived yet, love, clarity, healing, fulfillment, we must not be trying hard enough. And yet, what if that's not true? What if it's not more force we need, but less resistance? What if peace doesn't come from chasing, but from allowing? You see, in the quiet hours, after the to-do lists are done, after the roles we play are set aside, we're left with ourselves, just us. And that's when the questions start to whisper. Why do I still feel tired, even after resting? Why does life feel heavier now, even though I've accomplished so much? And why, no matter how much I plan, does joy seem just out of reach? There are those who believe that life rewards only the relentless, that calm is laziness, that surrender is weakness. But there is another way, a gentler, wiser path, one that doesn't deny effort, but redirects it, one that doesn't worship control, but invites trust. Tonight we'll walk that path together, not toward a finish line, but toward a different kind of understanding, a remembering, really, that maybe, just maybe, the universe isn't withholding from us. Maybe we've simply been standing in our own way. And yes, this might challenge what you've always believed. You might find yourself nodding in agreement, or resisting quietly inside. That's okay. Doubt is part of the journey too. But if even a part of you, a small, tired, tender part, feels ready to stop paddling upstream, then this space is for you. Together, let's slow down, breathe, let go of the need to force answers, and rediscover the soft, flowing rhythm of Buddhist wisdom, where truth doesn't shout, it settles. Where peace doesn't demand, it arrives. So if this reflection stirs something within, if a quiet part of your heart feels seen, consider staying until the end. Let this be a sanctuary, a pause in the noise, and if it brings you a moment of calm, feel free to share this space with someone else who might need it. Now let us begin, not with a push, but with a breath. The current is already moving. All we must do is trust it. Part 1. Let go, like the sky releases the storm. There was once a monk who lived alone on a mountainside, far above the clamor of the village. His life was simple, sweeping the stone steps each morning, tending to a small garden behind the monastery, and sitting silently in meditation as the winds of the high hills whispered around him. But every year, without fail, there came a season when the storms would arrive. Angry, impatient rains lashed against the roof. Thunder shook the walls. The skies roared with what seemed like an endless grief. Now, most would be unsettled by this. After all, who among us feels comfortable in a storm? But the old monk, he never flinched. He would simply place his broom aside, light a small lantern, and sit by the open window, watching the tempest unfold. One day, a younger monk, recently sent up from the village, asked him, "Master, why do you sit and watch the storm without seeking shelter in the temple's inner halls?" The old man smiled, eyes soft, and said, "Because the storm is not something I need to fight. It is something I need to witness and release." You see, in that moment, the old monk wasn't teaching weather, he was teaching life. We often live like the villagers, running from discomfort, hiding from the things we cannot control, gripping at the illusion of safety, as if we could stop the sky itself from weeping. But the sky, the sky, it never holds the storm longer than it must. It doesn't cling to the thunder or replay the lightning. When the clouds have raged and passed, the sky returns to stillness, effortlessly, without guilt or memory. How different this is from the way we hold on to things. Arguments from years ago, the fear of growing older, the ache of past decisions, the need to be right, or the endless desire to control what's coming next. But why do we hold on so tightly? Perhaps it's because somewhere along the way we were told that if we didn't keep things in our grip, they'd slip through our fingers and vanish. We were told that letting go means giving up, that surrender means weakness. But Buddhist wisdom offers something radical and strangely comforting in its stead. As the Buddha once said, "You only lose what you cling to." It isn't the storm that brings suffering, it's our refusal to release it once it's past. Imagine for a moment the energy it takes to constantly hold the sky shut, to trap every dark cloud inside, to analyze every bolt of lightning, to catalog every drop of rain. Now ask yourself, what part of your life are you doing this with? Is it an old relationship where the silence still stings? A chapter that ended, but your heart keeps rereading? A vision of who you should have become by now? Can you feel how heavy that is? Letting go does not mean we no longer care. It means we choose peace over struggle. We choose flow over force. When you let go like the sky, gently, completely, you create space. Space for new winds to move through. Space for calm to return. Space for healing, growth, softness. There's a Zen koan that says, "The tighter you hold the rope, the deeper it cuts." It reminds us that control, despite its promise of safety, often breeds the very suffering we wish to avoid. And yet, it is human to cling. It is natural to grasp. So the question isn't, why am I still holding on? The real question is, am I ready to loosen my grip, even just a little? And maybe that's all it takes. Not a grand release, not a dramatic goodbye, but a soft loosening, a breath, a moment where you step back, unclench, and let life unfold, as the sky always does, again and again. So before we move into the next lesson, I invite you to pause, right here, right now. Close your eyes if you'd like. Place your hand over your chest. Ask gently, what storm am I still carrying? And then, without judgment, without rush, ask again, can I let it go, just for tonight? In the stillness that follows, something shifts. You may not hear it, but you'll feel it. The beginning of surrender, not as a loss, but as a homecoming. Now, as we leave the sky and its wisdom behind, let's turn our gaze inward. For what happens when the storm isn't in the sky, but inside the mind? That's where we're going next. Part 2. Observe your mind like a still lake. As the storm in the sky fades, we often find another storm still stirring, quieter perhaps, but no less powerful, within our own minds. Have you ever sat in silence and suddenly realized how loud it is inside your head? Thoughts tumbling over one another like waves crashing on a shore, regrets pulling you backward, worries tugging you forward, voices, yours and others, repeating what should have been said, what could still go wrong. Sometimes it feels like we're trapped inside a crowded marketplace, except the marketplace is between our ears and there's no exit sign in sight. But there is a way out, or rather, a way through. Let me tell you a story that may sound like your own. In a forest monastery nestled beside a glimmering lake, a young student approached his teacher with a troubled expression. "Master," he said, "no matter how long I sit, my mind won't stop racing. I try to focus, but thoughts come in like a flood. What should I do? The master didn't respond with words. Instead, he handed the student a bowl filled with muddy water. "Stir it," he said simply. The student did. The mud swirled, turning the clear water murky. "Now watch," the master instructed. So the student sat and waited. Minutes passed. Then something began to happen. Slowly, the sediment started to sink. The water began to clear. "Your mind," said the teacher softly, "is like this bowl. The more you stir it with worry, judgment, and effort, the cloudier it becomes. But if you sit still and simply observe, it settles." You see, we are not our thoughts, but many of us spend our lives reacting to them as if they are absolute truths. A worry arises, and we chase it. A memory surfaces, and we relive it. A fear whispers, and we believe it. And just like that, we're swept away before we've even realized we've left the present moment. But Buddhist wisdom offers another way. Observe, don't absorb. Watch your mind like a still lake watches the moon, with clarity, without clinging. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." That peace doesn't come from fixing every thought or solving every problem, but from learning to watch them pass like clouds in the sky or leaves floating down a stream, knowing that they will not last. You may ask, but how do I observe when I've been drowning in my own mind for decades? The answer begins not with trying harder, but with softening. Each day, even for just a few minutes, sit quietly. No need to force your mind to stop. Simply notice. Notice the thought that says, "I'm not enough." Notice the fear that murmurs, "What if I fail?" Notice the resentment that echoes, "They never understood me." And instead of wrestling with them, watch them. Let them arise. Let them fall away. The thought is not you. The fear is not truth. The emotion is not forever. There's a Zen story of a student who once told his teacher, "My thoughts are wild horses. I can't tame them." The teacher replied, "Then stop chasing them. Sit still and watch where they go." That shift, from reacting to observing, is the moment freedom begins. Because when you watch your thoughts, really watch them, something remarkable happens. You start to see patterns. You start to recognize how many of those voices aren't even your own. They're echoes of parents, teachers, old heartbreaks, outdated stories. You begin to see that most of what you fear is imagined, that many of your beliefs are inherited, not chosen, and you begin, gently, quietly, to come back home to yourself. So I invite you, as you listen now, to reflect. Am I watching my thoughts, or am I drowning in them? It's a tender question, but one that opens a door. And when you step through that door, you'll notice something unexpected. You remain, even as the thoughts rise and fall, even as emotions stir and settle, like the sky that is never harmed by the weather. Your awareness is untouched, always there, always still. This is not a one-time revelation. It is a practice, like breathing, like returning. Let it begin now. Place a hand on your chest if you like, and say inwardly, "I am the lake. I reflect, but I do not react." And the next time your mind begins to storm, because it will, let this be your anchor. As the waters clear, and you begin to recognize your own reflection again, we now turn toward a deeper current, not just the mind's movement, but the energy beneath it, the vibration you carry each day, often without realizing it. For what if the universe doesn't respond to your words, but to your energy? That is where we go next. Part 3. Align your energy like a compass finds north. After the storm quiets and the waters settle, a stillness emerges, one that reveals more than just peace. It reveals direction, not through maps or instructions, but through a quiet pull within you, like a compass gently turning toward true north, not with noise or struggle, but with simple, unwavering clarity. And yet how often do we live misaligned, moving frantically in circles, striving harder, speaking our desires aloud, but wondering why life doesn't seem to listen. Perhaps it's because, like a compass disturbed by magnets, we're broadcasting one message, but carrying another in our hearts. There's a story from the Zen tradition about a man who kept planting seeds in his garden, season after season, but nothing would grow. Frustrated, he blamed the sun, the rain, the soil. "I've done everything right," he cried. "Why isn't anything blooming?" One day, a wandering monk passed by and asked to sit in the garden with him. After a moment of silence, the monk said, "The seeds are not the issue. Have you checked the ground of your mind?" The man looked puzzled. The monk smiled softly and explained, "You plant with your hands, but you harvest from your heart. If your inner world is filled with fear, doubt, or resentment, even the best seeds cannot take root. What you water with your energy, that is what grows." This parable might feel uncannily familiar. You may be doing all the right things, showing up for others, making plans, pushing through, yet still feel stuck, unseen, or unfulfilled. If so, it may not be your effort that needs adjusting, but your energy. Buddhism teaches us that everything we experience arises from the mind. What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create. But this teaching isn't just metaphor, it's a mirror. It reminds us that life doesn't respond to what we say we want. It responds to what we are energetically aligned with. Imagine, just for a moment, that every thought you carry sends out a signal, invisible but powerful, like ripples in a still pond. What signal are you broadcasting today? Is it rooted in calm or coated in anxiety? Does it echo with gratitude or hum with scarcity? Often, without realizing it, we say we want peace, but vibrate with restlessness. We say we seek love, but carry the energy of unworthiness. We long for abundance, but live in the frequency of fear. And the universe, like a wise mirror, reflects back not what we ask for, but what we energetically hold. So how do we align? Not by faking positivity, not by repeating empty affirmations, but by tuning inward, by becoming quiet enough to notice when our energy is scattered and compassionate enough to call it home. It starts small. Take a breath before speaking. Choose silence over reaction. Offer gratitude instead of complaint, not because it's polite, but because it softens the soil of the heart. When you align with presence, even if just for a few minutes a day, you begin to shift your internal compass. And when the compass steadies, the direction becomes clear. There's an ancient practice in Buddhist meditation called metta, or loving kindness. It begins not with changing the world, but with cultivating energy from within, a soft wish whispered in silence. May I be well, may I be peaceful, may I be free. As your energy changes, so too does your world. And if you're wondering, but how long will it take? How do I know if it's working? Remember this: a compass doesn't force its needle to move. It simply becomes still, and the direction reveals itself. Ask yourself now, gently, what energy am I living in today? And is it the energy I want to attract? If not, pause, reset, not by pushing away the noise, but by breathing underneath it. Because when your energy aligns, something shifts, slowly, subtly, and then all at once. Opportunities feel less forced. People respond differently. Life begins to flow toward you, not because it suddenly favors you, but because you have tuned into the rhythm that was always waiting. As the Buddha said, when you realize nothing is lacking, The whole world belongs to you. That realization doesn't begin outside. It begins in the quiet calibration of your own being. And from this still, centered place, we move. But where to? If the mind is still and the heart is aligned, what remains is the journey forward, one step at a time, with no map in hand, only trust. Let's walk that step together in the next part, where we learn what it means to flow like the river, even when we cannot yet see the ocean. Part 4. Trust the river. Even when you cannot see the ocean, there's something both terrifying and tender about not knowing what comes next. Especially as we grow older, that uncertainty can feel heavier, like a fog that settles in around the heart. You may find yourself wondering, what now, or what if it doesn't work out? The truth is, even when we've spent decades building lives, raising families, and crossing milestones, there can come a moment, often in stillness, where we quietly ask, is this all there is? It is in these moments that the Buddhist path offers a different kind of map, one that doesn't promise certainty, but invites trust. Let me tell you a story. Long ago, in a quiet village nestled between the mountains and a great river, there lived a woman known for her patience. She had once planted a single bamboo seed in a patch of dry soil behind her home. Day after day, she watered it. Season after season, she tended it. Year after year, nothing grew. Neighbors laughed. "You're wasting your time," they said. "The earth is too hard. The seed is dead." Still, she watered, silently, without fuss. Then, in the 5th year, almost overnight, the bamboo shot up over 80 feet into the sky. The villagers were stunned. "How did it grow so fast?" they asked. But the woman, smiling gently, replied, "It didn't grow overnight. It was growing all along, beneath the surface. I just couldn't see it." You see, the roots were deepening, anchoring, aligning. And when the time was right, not when she demanded it, but when the earth was ready, it bloomed. This story is not just about bamboo, it's about you. Because perhaps right now, something in your life feels stuck. Maybe a dream feels distant. A decision weighs heavy, or a change you didn't ask for has left you staring at the blank pages of the next chapter. In those moments, it's tempting to panic, to demand guarantees, to cling to plans. But as the Buddha taught, just as a solid rock is not shaken by the storm, even so the wise are not moved by praise or blame. The wise, and the deeply calm, do not need to see the entire ocean to trust the direction of the river. They do not need to rush the journey, because they know something that most of the world forgets. Life flows best when you stop trying to carry the current. Think about how much energy we spend trying to force outcomes. We overplan. We overthink. We try to calculate every variable, every risk, every twist of fate. But in doing so, we forget the most sacred truth. We're not meant to control the unfolding. We're meant to move with it. To live in trust does not mean we stop acting. It means we act from a place of faith, not fear. It means we take the next step, not because the path is clear, but because we've learned to walk even when the fog hasn't lifted. It means we plant seeds without checking the soil every day to see if something's growing. And that kind of living, that kind of surrendered courage, is not weakness. It is freedom. So I ask you now, from one human heart to another, what are you rushing that needs space? What are you doubting that simply needs time? What have you labeled a failure, when perhaps it is only root work, invisible, but essential? In Buddhism, we are reminded that everything arises in its own time. No matter how hard the past, you can always begin again. And beginnings often don't feel like fireworks. They feel like quiet returns, small steps, a breath, a willingness to stay right where you are, without needing to force life into shape. As you reflect on this, place your attention on your breath. Inhale, exhale, just like the river. It flows in, it flows out, without your effort, without your command. What if you trusted life in that same way? As we journey further, we will explore not just how to move with the current, but how to empty ourselves, to become open like bamboo, so life can flow through us without resistance. For only when we are hollow can we be filled with what truly matters. Let us step into that emptiness, not with fear, but with faith, in the next part. Part 5. Be empty like bamboo to be filled by the wind. Have you ever held on to something so tightly, an identity, a plan, a version of yourself, that it began to weigh you down more than lift you up? Perhaps it was a role you played for years. The caregiver, the provider, the one who always had it together. Or maybe it was a dream you once believed defined your worth, but now no longer fits the shape of who you've become. And yet you hold on, not because it serves you, but because the thought of letting go feels like losing everything. But here's the truth. The bamboo teaches us letting go is not loss, it's opening. In many Zen monasteries, young students are first asked to sit in silence for long periods, not to learn new ideas, but to unlearn the clutter they arrived with. One student, frustrated after weeks of feeling like nothing was happening, approached the master. "I came for wisdom," he said, "but my mind is full of confusion." The master smiled and poured tea into the student's cup, slowly, steadily, until the tea overflowed and spilled onto the table. "Stop," the student cried. "It's full." The master placed the teapot down. "Exactly," he said. "Like this cup, you are full. Full of opinions, expectations, worries. There's no space for anything new. Empty your cup. That's the lesson. You cannot receive when you are overflowing with what no longer serves you. Just as bamboo is both strong and hollow, so too must we learn to make room within ourselves for life to pass through, not to fill us with noise, but with breath, with awareness, with space. And yes, emptiness may sound frightening. We live in a culture that teaches us to accumulate knowledge, things, titles, even emotional burdens, as if the more we carry, the more we matter. But Buddhism reminds us that true strength is not how much you carry, but how much you are willing to release. Think of the bamboo in a storm. It does not resist the wind. It bends, it yields, and in doing so, it survives. While the rigid trees, the ones that refuse to move, are the first to snap. Perhaps you've reached a season in your life where something feels brittle, like no matter how hard you try, you just can't carry it anymore. A broken relationship that you keep trying to fix. A role that used to give your life meaning, but now only brings exhaustion. Or perhaps it's simply the pressure to keep performing, even when your spirit is begging for rest. If so, ask yourself gently, what have I been carrying that I no longer need? And deeper still, who might I become if I allowed myself to be empty? In Buddhism, emptiness is not a void, it is potential. It is the space from which all things arise. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form, the Heart Sutra tells us. This is not a riddle, it's an invitation to step out of the illusion that we must always be something, do something, prove something, and instead to simply be, to sit in silence, to make room, to allow. You don't have to let go all at once. You can begin with something small, skip the last word in a tired argument, leave a room without explaining yourself, sit quietly for 5 minutes without reaching for your phone. Let a thought pass without attaching a story to it. These are not small acts. They are sacred surrenders. Because the less you cling, the more space you create. And in that space, the wind can enter, not to toss you about, but to move through you gently, like a melody, like a prayer you didn't know you'd been waiting to hear, and what it brings. Often it's more beautiful than anything you could have planned. Insight, peace, unexpected grace. So let go, not because you're giving up, but because you're making space. For the first time in a long time, perhaps you'll feel light again. Perhaps you'll hear the quiet voice of your own soul. And perhaps, like the bamboo, you'll bend, not to break, but to breathe. Now with this spaciousness in your heart, we move even deeper into a silence that is not empty, but powerful. A stillness that does not shrink us, but reveals our truest strength. Let us step into that in the next part. Part 6. Let stillness be your thunder. By now you may have begun to feel it, that quiet shift inside, subtle as a breeze through an open window. When we let go, when we allow ourselves to empty, something unexpected begins to rise. Not noise, not rush, but stillness. And yet, stillness is perhaps the most misunderstood form of power we have. In a world that measures strength in volume, in speed, in action, in visibility, to be still seems countercultural, even risky. We are taught that if we stop, we'll fall behind. That silence means weakness. That pausing is the same as giving up. But the old masters knew differently. They knew that silence could shape mountains, that stillness could echo louder than any roar. There's a Zen story about a warrior who sought enlightenment. He traveled great distances to find a renowned teacher known only as the Silent One. When he arrived, the warrior asked, "Master, what is truth?" The teacher said nothing. Minutes passed. The warrior asked again, louder this time, "What is truth?" Still silence. Frustrated, he shouted, "Have you nothing to say? I came all this way." And just as he turned to leave, the master spoke. Softly, steadily, "Now you're ready to listen." The warrior froze, because in that moment, he realized that the answer he sought wasn't hidden in more noise. It had been waiting in the space between his questions, and the teacher, in his silence, had given him exactly what he needed. Not information, but stillness, the kind that reveals everything. Not all at once, but layer by layer. You see, stillness is not absence. It's presence, distilled. It is the calm center of a turning world, the eye of the storm, the candle that doesn't flicker, even as winds howl beyond the window. And you, yes, even now, especially now, carry that stillness within you, not as something to build or chase, but as something to remember, something to return to. Because stillness does not mean you stop living. It means you stop rushing. It means you stop performing for a world that's already forgotten what matters most. It means you begin to act, not from chaos, but from clarity. Ask yourself gently, when was the last time I truly paused? Not because I had to, but because I chose to. For some, that stillness might come during a morning walk when the world hasn't quite woken up yet. For others, it arrives in those sacred 5 minutes between finishing the dishes and turning off the lights. And for a few, it's found while sitting in a chair by the window, watching the sky change colors with no need to name them. Stillness is where wisdom blooms. Not the wisdom of facts, but the deeper kind. The wisdom that whispers, "You're okay even if nothing gets done today." The kind that says, "You don't have to be more to be worthy of love." The kind that sits with you, hand in hand, when the world moves too fast. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha says, "Calm is his mind, calm is his speech, calm is his deed. Who, rightly knowing, is wholly freed. This kind of calm isn't the calm of perfection. It's the calm of presence. And the miracle. Stillness doesn't require retreating into a mountain cave. It doesn't ask you to shave your head or change your name. It only asks for moments. Moments where you stop running, where you listen, where you feel. Even now you can try it. Take a deep breath in, hold it, and slowly release. Again, let it soften your jaw. Let it relax your shoulders. Let it settle your heartbeat. This is stillness, and it is not empty. It is alive. It is thunder, without the noise. The more you return to this place, the more your life begins to shift. Decisions become clearer. Emotions lose their grip, and strangely, people may even begin to respond to you differently, not because you've spoken more, but because your presence has grown quieter and deeper. So I invite you, before we move on, to make stillness a ritual, not as an escape, but as a meeting place. A space between the noise where truth waits, patiently to be heard. And from that stillness, we will now turn to something even more tender. The mirror we often avoid, the reflection of our own inner world. For what if the chaos outside isn't the root, but a reflection of the wounds we still carry within? In the next part, we look not outward, but inward, and begin the quiet work of healing the mirror. Part 7. Heal the inner mirror to reflect a brighter world. There is a moment, subtle, fleeting, when you catch your reflection in the mirror and something feels off. Not your face, not the lines etched by time, or the silver strands now softening your hair. No, it's deeper than that. It's as if the reflection is looking back, asking, is this who I truly am? At first you might ignore it. You wipe the mirror, adjust your posture, smile out of habit. But the question lingers, and eventually you realize it's not the mirror that's clouded, it's what lives behind the reflection. There's a story often told in Buddhist circles, the story of a woman named Soma. She was a practitioner known for her outward discipline, respected in her sangha, admired for her devotion. But despite all her practice, she felt restless. The world around her mirrored her inner chaos, relationships strained, peace elusive, the same patterns repeating again and again. So she traveled to seek wisdom from an old nun who lived in solitude. After sharing her troubles, she asked, "Why does nothing I do seem to bring peace?" The nun didn't speak. Instead, she handed Soma a mirror, dusty, scratched. "Clean this," she said. So Soma began to wipe, gently, slowly. The more she wiped, the more her reflection became clear. "Peace," the nun finally said, "doesn't come from changing your world. It comes from clearing the mirror within. Until you do, the world can only reflect your wounds, not your wisdom." That moment broke something open in Soma, not with noise, but with realization. And maybe in some quiet way, you've felt the same. Maybe you've tried to fix what's outside, the job that lost its meaning, the family tension, the unfinished dreams, only to find that nothing sticks. And maybe, like Soma, it's because the belief that you are broken still lingers, quietly shaping everything you see. The Buddha taught, you cannot travel the path until you have become the path itself. And that becoming doesn't happen by force. It begins with healing, with seeing clearly. So the question becomes, what do I believe I deserve, not just on the surface, but deep down, where no one else can hear? If your answer whispers guilt or shame or not enough, that is the wound, not the truth. Many of us, especially later in life, carry invisible wounds from long ago, words never spoken, love withheld, roles we played so long we forgot they were roles. We internalize the voice of a disappointed parent, a failed marriage, a culture that values doing over being. And these beliefs live inside like shadows, casting doubt over our worth. But here is the gift of aging. And yes, it is a gift. As the outer world begins to quiet, the inner world becomes louder, and in that silence we are invited, not forced but invited, to clean the mirror, not to make it perfect, but to make it clear that clarity begins with compassion. Not the kind you offer everyone else, the kind you save for yourself, the self that's been trying all these years, holding so much, striving to be okay when sometimes it wasn't. Healing is not a grand moment of transformation. It is found in the small choices, waking up and choosing kindness before the world demands your attention, speaking gently to yourself when the old inner critic rises up, pausing before judgment, and offering a breath instead. It is found in sitting still and simply saying, "I am already enough. I don't have to earn peace. I am peace," remembering itself. Because here's what happens when your inner mirror becomes clear. You stop projecting your pain onto others. You begin to see possibility where once there was fear, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the world begins to change. Not because it changed, but because you did. People respond to you differently. Doors open with less pushing. Love feels safer, softer. And opportunities you never saw before begin to appear because your eyes are no longer clouded by doubt. So I invite you now to ask yourself, what belief about myself needs to be released tonight? It could be something as small as, "I'm too late," or as deep as, "I'm not lovable." Whatever it is, see it, name it. Then, in your own quiet way, begin to soften it. Like cleaning a mirror with a single breath, a single prayer. And remember, you don't have to wait until you're fully healed to live. You simply have to begin with tenderness, with courage, with presence. Because as your mirror clears, the world reflects something different too. Not the version of you shaped by fear, but the version lit from within, calm, compassionate, awake. In our next reflection, we look at the mind not as a mirror but as a feather, and begin the practice of thinking lightly, resting gently, and releasing the imagined weight we so often mistake as truth. Let's drift into that together. Part 8. Think lightly like a feather on water. There's a kind of heaviness we carry that never quite shows on our faces, a silent weight that lives in the mind. It's not made of stone or flesh. It's made of thoughts, endless thoughts, spinning, circling, whispering. What if? What next? What if I'm wrong? What if I'm too late? And like a bird with wings dipped in oil, we try to fly, but we can't seem to lift off. We lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, rehearsing future conversations, predicting imagined disasters. The mind keeps running, faster and faster, as if more thought will somehow buy us safety. But instead, it only buys us fatigue. There's a story about a man who lived in a village where a great bridge connected two mountains. He had heard rumors, just whispers, that the bridge might not be strong. And so each night, long before he ever needed to cross it, he would sit at home and worry. He imagined the wood cracking, the ropes snapping, his foot slipping. Night after night, he rehearsed disaster, and the fear made a home inside him. Years passed. Eventually, the day came when he needed to cross that very bridge. He walked up to it, heart pounding, legs trembling, only to find it was sturdy, solid, still strong. All that fear for something that never came. And so I ask you, as gently as I can, how many of your fears are about bridges that haven't broken? You see, the human mind is a master storyteller. It writes novels out of silence. It invents storms where only clouds drift by. But Buddhist practice offers a profound invitation not to silence every thought, but to stop believing all of them. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha says, "Drop by drop is the water pot filled." The same is true of the mind. Thought by thought, we either fill our cup with peace or with pressure. What if your thoughts could rest like a feather on water, light, soft, without sinking? Lightness in Buddhism is not about carelessness, it's about clarity. It's not pretending life is perfect, it's learning to rest gently within it, to respond without tension, to think without drowning. Of course, the habit of overthinking runs deep, especially for those of us who've carried responsibilities for decades, children, careers, marriages, losses. We've learned that being in control is how we stay safe. But control is heavy, and safety doesn't live in thinking alone. It lives in presence. Try this the next time your mind races. Sit. Just sit. Let the thoughts come, like leaves floating down a stream. Name them softly without judgment. That's worry. That's fear. That's planning. That's memory. Then, let them float by. You don't have to wrestle each thought to the ground. You don't have to fix them all tonight. You only have to stop carrying the ones that aren't yours to carry. And here's a secret. When you stop feeding thoughts with fear, they begin to lose their grip. Like a fire that burns out when the wood is gone. Even the most persistent worry softens when you meet it with stillness. Ask yourself now, am I thinking or am I spiraling? Is this fear or is it just a habit? Do I know this to be true or is this the mind trying to keep me busy? And then take a breath, a real one, deep, slow. Let it remind your body that not everything requires your reaction. Some things require your rest. Lightness is also a discipline, a sacred one. It's choosing to float instead of sink, to pause instead of panic, to let the wind carry your worries a little further away, like autumn leaves falling from branches long ready to release them. So as you sit here now, let this be your question. What thought can I release tonight? Just one. Not all of them. One single thought you've been carrying like a weight in your chest. Give it to the wind. Let it go. Because when you begin to think lightly, you begin to live lightly. And a light life is not an empty life. It is a free one. And so, with the breath of that freedom still lingering, let us turn now to the deeper soil, to the muddy places within, where the seeds of transformation quietly rest. For what if this season you're in, this slow, unclear, uncertain time, is not punishment, but preparation? Let's sink into that sacred space together in the next part. Part 9. Wait for the bloom like a lotus in mud. Somewhere in a shallow pond thick with mud and fallen leaves, beneath the surface where light struggles to reach, a single lotus seed lies quietly, day after day, month after month. It waits, not because it is lazy or unsure, but because blooming, real blooming, can never be rushed. The lotus is one of Buddhism's most cherished symbols, not because it is perfect or pure or untouched by struggle. In fact, quite the opposite. It is loved because it rises, inch by patient inch, through darkness, through silence, through mud. And when it finally blooms, it does so with such quiet grace that we often forget what it had to grow through. And isn't that the truth of life? Especially as we grow older, there comes a time when everything seems to slow down, when the plans stall, the clarity fades, and even the once familiar roles begin to dissolve. Children move on, work becomes memory, days blur together, and in that slow stillness, a soft ache emerges. Is this it? Am I done growing? Why is nothing happening? But Buddhism gently whispers another truth. When nothing seems to be happening, everything is actually unfolding beneath the surface. There's a teaching from the Zen tradition that says, when the soil is ready, the seed knows when to rise. That readiness isn't about perfection or productivity, it's about alignment, inner alignment. The kind that comes from staying present even when it feels like you're standing still. There's a story of a monk who planted a lotus seed in a pot of water and waited years for it to bloom. Every few days he'd peek into the water, expecting progress, but nothing showed. One day a younger monk grew frustrated and asked, "Why not give up and plant something else?" The older monk replied, "Because I don't need the lotus to bloom. I need to be the kind of person who can wait for it." That is the real lesson, who we become while we wait. Because growth isn't always visible. Some seasons of life are root seasons, the time when your spirit deepens, your mind settles, and your inner world starts to reorganize itself in ways even you can't fully understand yet. And though the outside may look quiet, inside you're becoming something new. But here's the challenge. We live in a culture that doesn't honor slow. It rewards the urgent. It worships the instant. We've been conditioned to think that if something isn't blooming fast enough, something's wrong. So what do? We panic. We dig up the seed. We second guess. We compare our muddy middle to someone else's full blossom. And in doing so, we interrupt the very unfolding we so desperately desire. But you have another option. You can sit with the mud. You can trust its messiness. You can believe, even in your quietest moments, that something is preparing to bloom. You can say, "This moment isn't failure, it's formation." Ask yourself now, not with judgment, but with tenderness, what am I rushing that actually needs more time? Can I let this be a season of trust, not of panic? Perhaps your clarity is deepening right now, out of sight. Perhaps your heart is learning to beat differently after all it's carried. Perhaps your bloom isn't late, it's right on time. And so, like the lotus, wait, but don't wait passively. Wait wisely, wait with presence. Breathe deeply into the unknown. Water your spirit with kindness, with patience, with the faith that not everything is meant to bloom on your schedule. One day, maybe soon, you'll look back and realize this muddy moment was sacred, that it prepared you in ways you never expected, that the quiet, the stillness, the questions, they weren't signs of failure, they were your roots. And when you do rise, when you finally bloom, because you will, it won't be frantic or desperate, it will be graceful, grounded, like a knowing smile from the soul. So now, with that calm faith rooted deep, we turn to a powerful truth. When it's finally time to act, how you act matters, not just what you do, but the place inside you do it from. In the next part, we explore what it means to let your actions flow, not from panic, but from peace. Let's step gently into that rhythm together. Part 10. Let action flow from inner peace, not panic. There's a moment just before dawn when the sky holds its breath. The stars still shimmer, the earth is hushed, and everything is suspended in stillness. It's not quite night, not yet morning, just presence. This moment, quiet, patient, unhurried, holds a profound lesson. Because contrary to what we've been told, the most powerful actions don't always begin in motion. They begin in stillness. Now think about this. When was the last time you did something not because it felt true, but because you felt afraid not to? Maybe it was answering a message too quickly out of guilt, saying yes when your whole body whispered no, rushing into a decision because silence felt uncomfortable, acting not from peace, but from pressure. We all do this, but over time, when our actions are born from fear, they start to feel hollow. Even if we accomplish the task, something inside remains restless, unsatisfied. Because our deepest self knows the truth. Real impact doesn't come from how fast we move. It comes from where we move from. There's a Zen parable about a student who approached his master, flustered. "I've meditated. I've fasted. I've prayed. Still, I feel unsettled. What more should I do?" The master poured him a cup of tea. "Slowly, deliberately, drink," he said. The student took a sip. "Now what?" he asked. The master smiled. "Now let the tea settle inside you." In that moment, the student understood it wasn't more doing he needed, it was more being. Buddhism reminds us, again and again, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Because when you are present, your actions carry the weight of your whole self, not scattered, not split, but gathered, grounded, clear. Let me ask you something. Have you ever watched a candle in a room with no breeze? Its flame doesn't flicker. It burns steadily, soft, but unwavering. Now imagine taking action from that place. Imagine writing that message, having that conversation, making that decision, not from inner turbulence, but from inner steadiness. How different would your words sound? How different would your steps feel? This is the power of peaceful action. And no, it doesn't mean you sit and wait for life to happen. It means you let your actions arise, like waves from a calm sea, not like splashes from a drowning man. So how do we practice this? Start small. Before you speak, pause. Ask yourself, is this coming from peace or panic? Before you act, breathe. Ask, am I moving with clarity or with fear? If you sense tension, wait. Not forever, just long enough to soften, just long enough to feel the quiet space between reaction and response. Even the simplest shift from snapping back in an argument to choosing silence can change the entire energy of your life. Because when you act from peace, you stop creating more noise, and in that quiet, real change begins. It's like walking through a forest where every step is mindful. You hear the crunch of leaves. You feel the earth beneath you. You move with intention, not force. That's what action can become. Not rushed, not reactive, but reverent. Ask yourself now, what have I been doing out of panic that I could do instead from peace? Maybe it's how you wake up. Maybe it's how you respond to worry. Maybe it's how you move through your day, with a mind sprinting ahead while your body trails behind. Whatever it is, remember this: peace is not a reward at the end of your to-do list. It's the foundation from which every wise action is born. So today, move like the steady flame. Speak like the calm river. Let your actions echo stillness, not struggle. For when the world is loud and everyone rushes, your calm becomes your power. And now, with that calm steady in your chest, let us step into the next reflection. One that invites us not to act, but to allow, to embrace the rhythm of life without clinging, without chasing, like watching clouds drift slowly across the open sky. Let's rise into that next breath together. Part 11. Let life happen like clouds drift across the sky. Look up at the sky for a moment. Not in memory, but right now in your mind's eye. Picture the clouds, how they move without hesitation, without resistance. They shift, dissolve, return again in different forms. Some are heavy and gray, others light and golden, brushed by sunlight, but none of them stay forever. Now imagine living your life like that. Most of us don't. Most of us, especially as we grow older, try to hold the clouds in place, the good ones, the soft ones, the ones that remind us of better days, and the darker ones, the painful ones. We resist them with all our might, telling ourselves, this shouldn't be here. But life, like the sky, doesn't work that way. Whatever has the nature to arise, also has the nature to pass. This is one of the core teachings in Buddhism, but we forget it. Not out of ignorance, but out of fear. Because letting life drift, letting emotions come and go, means surrendering control. And control, for so many of us, has become a kind of armor. But armor is heavy, and the sky never wears armor. Let me tell you a story. There was once a monk, a gentle man in his 70s, who tended to the temple gardens each morning. Every day, no matter the weather, he would rake the leaves in silence, watching the wind carry them wherever it pleased. One day, a visitor saw this and asked, "Why rake if the wind will only scatter them again?" The monk smiled. "Because raking is not about clearing the path. It's about understanding the wind." You see, the monk wasn't fighting change. He was learning to move with it. That's what this part of the journey is about. Not fixing life, not freezing it in its best moments, but learning to watch it, like clouds across a vast sky, with awe, with acceptance, with grace. And yes, that's hard, especially when the clouds are stormy, when you're facing illness, uncertainty, loss. When the mirror reflects someone older, quieter, and you're not sure where your younger self has gone. But here's the gentle truth. Nothing stays, not even the pain. The Buddhist mantra, "This too shall pass," is not a dismissal of suffering. It's a soft hand on the shoulder in your hardest hour. It reminds you that no feeling, no circumstance, no identity is permanent. Even the grief that once wrapped itself around your chest like iron softens. Even the joy that once felt boundless fades. And this is not tragic. This is life. Ask yourself now, with sincerity, what am I holding on to that's meant to pass? Is it a regret you revisit over and over? A version of yourself you're trying to keep alive? A fear you've dressed in logic, just so you don't have to let it go? Sometimes peace comes not from resolution, but from release. Practice, if only for today, watching your thoughts the way you'd watch the sky. When a worry floats in, don't chase it. When a memory drifts by, don't grip it. Simply say, "That too is a cloud. Let it pass," and it will. You are not the storm. You are not the sunshine. You are the sky itself, wide enough to hold it all, steady enough to watch it shift, soft enough to let it go. And this is where non-resistance becomes your quiet superpower. Not giving up, not stepping back, but stepping aside to let life move, trusting that whatever passes was never yours to keep, and whatever remains is what your soul truly needs. So next time you feel overwhelmed, don't try to solve everything. Go outside, even if only in your imagination. Look at the sky, whisper, "This too shall pass," and trust that the clearing will come. It always does. And now, in this space of non-resistance, we prepare for the final lesson. A simple but profound shift, to live not as if life might support you, but as if you already trust that it does. Let's step into that final embrace together. Part 12. Live as if you already trust the universe. There is a kind of courage that doesn't shout. It doesn't wear armor or demand attention. Instead, it moves quietly, like breath, like prayer, through those who have learned the art of trust, real trust. Not the kind that waits for evidence, but the kind that lives as if life is already unfolding in your favor, even when the road disappears. Buddhism teaches us that all clinging leads to suffering, and yet the hardest thing to release is not control. It's doubt, because doubt disguises itself as logic. It whispers, "What if it doesn't work out?" And better to brace yourself than be disappointed. But here's the gentle truth. A life lived in fear of falling never learns to fly. There's a story about a small bird who lived her whole life perched on a branch. She had wings, strong, beautiful, capable, but she'd never used them, not once. When asked why, she replied, "What if the wind isn't there to catch me?" One day, a great storm snapped the tree. As the branch began to fall, the bird panicked and leapt. And to her surprise, the wind was there. It always had been. She just hadn't trusted it. That leap, that sacred, terrifying, breathtaking leap, is what many of us resist. We say we believe in life, in love, in destiny, but we wait. We wait for signs. We wait for certainty. We wait until we feel brave. But Buddhist wisdom turns that on its head. Leap first, trust first, and the path appears beneath your feet. Think of all the energy spent on doubt, the decisions delayed, the moments overanalyzed, the beauty overlooked while waiting for permission to exhale. What if, just for one day, you lived as if the universe were already moving things into place for you? What if every delay was protection, every detour, a redirection, every ending, the soil for a new beginning? You wouldn't rush, you wouldn't force, you would breathe deeper, walk slower, speak more kindly to yourself. You'd move with quiet confidence, not because you had all the answers, but because you trusted the flow more than the plan. In the Dhammapada, it is written, "Just as a flower does not pick and choose the bees that come to it, the wise remain open, trusting that what is meant will come and what is not will pass." So ask yourself now, sincerely, what would I do today if I already trusted the outcome? Would you let go of the apology you never received? Would you stop clinging to someone who's already let go of you? Would you finally rest, not as a reward, but as a right? This is not about wishful thinking. This is about embodied trust, the kind you practice. It's in the breath you take before reacting, the silence you keep instead of explaining, the smile you give without knowing if it will be returned. You live the way the seed does, underground, unseen, still growing. You live the way the river does, carving canyons not by force but by consistency. You live the way the sky does, open, vast, receiving all things and clinging to none. Because when you live as if you already trust the universe, something astonishing begins to happen. Life meets you with the same trust. People respond to your peace. Situations unfold with less friction. You begin to see synchronicities, those quiet nods from the universe that say, yes, you're exactly where you're meant to be. And maybe, just maybe, you stop chasing because you realize you're already being guided. So tonight, if you're holding a question that has no answer yet, let that be okay. Rest inside it like a cradle, and live not in fear of falling, but in faith that you are already being held, because you are. And now, as our journey through these reflections draws to a close, we return to where we began, not just to sleep, but to ourselves. Let's gather all that we've learned, all that we've let go of, and all that has quietly begun to bloom into one final breath of peace and one soft, soulful closing. Conclusion: let the quiet become your home. And so we arrive not at the end, but at a soft returning. A returning to breath, to simplicity, to that inner hush that says, you've made it through so much already, you can rest now. Together we've wandered through rivers and bamboo groves, through silent monasteries and cloudy skies. We've touched the truths hidden in teacups, muddy roots, and still lakes. We've remembered what so many forget in the noise of this world, that peace does not come from having everything figured out. It comes from letting go of the need to yes, life will continue. The wind will blow. The mind will speak. Doubts may visit again as they do. But now, you carry something different. You've remembered how to let go, like the sky releases the storm. You've learned to observe your mind like a still lake holds the moon. You've felt what it means to align your energy, to trust the river, to become empty like bamboo and still as thunder. You've peered into the mirror, softened your thoughts, waited like the lotus, and acted only from peace. You've watched the clouds drift, and finally, you've begun to trust the universe again. But more than anything, you've returned to something you may not have realized you'd lost: your own presence. The you who doesn't need to be louder to be heard. The you who is already whole, already wise, already enough. And that presence, that still, knowing part of you, it's your truest home. So I invite you now, not to rush back into the world, not just yet. Let this silence stay with you a while. Let it hum in your breath, echo in your chest. Let it follow you like a lantern through tomorrow's noise. And if you ever forget, because we all do, return here, re-listen, re-breathe, reopen. The universe never stopped supporting you. It simply waited for you to stop fighting it. You are not lost. You are not late. You are not broken. You are becoming, again and again, exactly who you were always meant to be. So walk gently through your days. Speak softly to your soul. And when the world grows loud, let quiet be your wisdom. Until we meet again, may you find peace not at the end of the path, but in every quiet step you take.